Ash Trevino has been arrested. She's the social media influencer known for her live streams, her controversial relationships, and just overall big following on TikTok. So she was arrested by the Ellis County Sheriff's Office last night on 2 state felony charges. One of the listed charges is securing the execution of a document by deception with an alleged amount between $2,500 and $30,000.
This is what happened when TikTok's most controversial inmate hopper got arrested on felony charges that date back 6 years. Ash Trevino, the 36-year-old influencer known for marrying inmates and live streaming every detail of her chaotic life, was taken into custody on December 17, 2025. And her response to the whole thing is exactly what you'd expect from someone who's built a career on being absolutely unfiltered. Before we get into what went down that night, there's something we need to correct right away because the title has it wrong. This didn't happen in Florida at all. Ash was arrested in Venus, Texas, right in her own front yard around 7:50 p.m. when the Venus Police Department showed up and took her to Ellis County Jail in Waxahachie. For anyone who doesn't know Ash Trevino, you need the background because this woman has turned being completely unhinged into a full-time job, and those choices she makes are absolutely wild. Ashley Lopez Trevino is her full legal name. Born January 17, 1989, in Corpus Christi, Texas, which makes her 36 years old right now.
Now here's a copy of her booking details, Ashley Trevino right there. She's wearing the same thing with the same eyelashes that you just saw her in the video, and here's a lot of details they had about her height, weight, age, everything about her. Now it's being said that she was arrested on 2 felony warrants. These are not misdemeanors, these are not small crimes, these are felonies. However, we don't know the exact details yet, and her bond was set incredibly low.
2 teenage daughters are part of her story. Haley, who's about 16, and Evie, who's roughly 13. And Ash currently commands over 500,000 followers across Instagram and Snapchat, even though her original TikTok account, with around 1 million followers, has vanished completely. Content creation started for her back in 2019, but 2021 was when everything exploded for one very specific reason that set her apart from every other influencer out there. She openly dates and marries men who are currently locked up in prison, and we're not talking about guys who made one mistake and are getting out next month. These are men serving decades-long sentences for serious violent crimes, and instead of keeping any of it private, she turned the whole thing into her brand. Ash literally calls herself an inmate hopper, and proudly uses the term prison wife to describe her lifestyle. Multiple incarcerated men have been engaged to her or married to her over the years, and she puts every single detail of these relationships online for everyone to see.
In simple terms, this charge basically means when you trick someone into signing a document for financial harm. The other charge is healthcare fraud, which can involve billing for services, or maybe even charging or making even false statements or receiving healthcare payments as well.
Isaiah Gonzalez became her fiancé in 2019 while serving a 45-year sentence for murder, aggravated robbery, and arson from a 2010 conviction, and she went ahead and introduced him to her daughters as Daddy, despite him being locked up. Marriage number 2 happened on April 26, 2022, when she married Noe Trevino, which is where the last name she uses now actually comes from. Noe serving 25 years for murder after killing Lewis Maston outside a nightclub back in 2015. And as of 2025, they're still legally married, even though their relationship status bounces up and down like a yo-yo. The most recent controversy came in 2024 when she started dating Santos Salazar, who was 19 years old while Ash was pushing 36, and that age gap alone had people losing their minds online. At one point, she dropped this line, and I quote, "I date inmates. I don't become an inmate."
The famous TikTok star Ash Trevino has officially been arrested.
How y'all like my mugshot though? I was like trying not to smile because I'm like, he was like, you can fix your hair. I said, okay. But yeah, like they can't hold me down. What the fuck? Like, haters are gonna pray on my downfall, and I'm watch. I'ma fight this. Watch.
That statement aged like milk left out in the sun. Understanding where Ash's life was at before December 17th matters because the timing of everything makes this story even crazier. Full-time influencer wasn't always her gig. Up until late December 2024, just weeks before her arrest, Ash worked as a receptionist or assistant at a dental office in Texas, where she'd been employed for multiple years. Late December 2024 brought her termination from that job, and the reason given was her controversial online presence, because apparently the dental office couldn't handle having an employee who aired out every messy detail of her life on social media. Losing that job pushed Ash to bet everything on becoming a full-time content creator, and the money she was pulling in wasn't bad at all. Her claim about the most successful TikTok live she ever did was that she made $12,000 in just 2 hours, and she stated that single live streams were bringing in almost more than her entire monthly dental office salary.
Now, according to the booking documents, all of this happened in May of 2019, but she's just now getting arrested for this. And just to be clear, allegations or charges are not convictions, meaning everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And I've already reached out to the Ellis County Sheriff's Office to get more information on why these charges are now just coming up.
TikTok permanently banned her at one point after she exposed herself during a live stream battle and got intimate on camera, though they reversed that ban after just a few days. Even before any arrest happened, Ash already ranked as one of the most controversial influencers on the internet, and the majority of that controversy centers directly on how she parents her daughters. Living conditions for her daughters have sparked the most serious allegations, because multiple sources report that her daughters don't have beds in her home. Ash herself acknowledged this reality during a podcast appearance earlier in 2025, though she insisted the situation was only temporary, and her daughters spend most of their time being raised by their grandmother instead of living with Ash. Monetizing her children's struggles on livestream represents the most shocking behavior Ash has displayed, and the incident that really stands out happened when she live-streamed while her daughter Evie was in the hospital. Haley, her other daughter, addressed this directly on Camila Araujo's podcast in March 2025, with a quote that says, "Everything you need to know. You said, send a galaxy to know about my baby girl's health when I was in the hospital, and I still didn't like that. You wanted to put my information out for a galaxy. A galaxy, in TikTok terms, is an expensive gift that costs real money," which means Ash was literally telling viewers to pay her if they wanted updates about her hospitalized daughter's medical condition.
Now, apparently, a police officer met with Ash Trevino in her front yard Wednesday night in Texas and got her to turn herself in without incident. And it looks like these felony warrants weren't too worrisome for the police department because they allowed her to get out on just a $15,000 bond, which is insanely low for anybody with felony warrants.
Public admissions from Ash include her pulling her daughter's hair out of jealousy over a boyfriend's attention, and her daughters have lost friendships because other parents refuse to let their kids associate with Ash's family due to her online behavior. When confronted about her daughters losing friends, Ash's response was, and I quote, "There's nothing I can do about it. May suck, but that is just life." Over 20 CPS cases have reportedly been opened about Ash with allegations ranging from neglect to exploitation, but none of those cases moved beyond investigations, and Ash still maintains legal custody of both daughters. December 17th, 2025 is when everything caught up with her, and here's exactly what went down that night. Police showed up in Ash's front yard at her Venus, Texas home around 7:50 p.m., though some sources put the time at 7:30. A Venus Police Department patrol officer recognized her immediately and knew that active warrants were out for her arrest, warrants that had been issued by the Ellis County Sheriff's Office for 2 felony charges. Taking her into custody happened without incident, meaning she didn't fight or resist or cause any drama during the actual arrest. Ellis County Jail in Waxahachie, Texas, became her temporary home with bond set at $15,000. But here's where it gets interesting because she posted that $15,000 bond almost immediately. Release from custody happened either that same night or the next morning, which means she spent barely any time locked up at all. 2 felonies are what Ash is facing, and neither one is a minor offense that gets brushed aside easily. Healthcare fraud involving an amount between $2,500 and $30,000 makes up the first charge, and securing execution of document by deception with that same dollar range between $2,500 and $30,000 is the second. Breaking down what these charges actually mean starts with healthcare fraud, which happens when someone intentionally deceives healthcare programs to get financial gain through false statements or collecting money for benefits they're not entitled to. Medicaid fraud has been speculated about online as a possibility here, but that detail remains unverified. Securing execution of document by deception translates to getting someone to sign a document for your personal benefit in a way that ends up causing financial harm to the person who signed. So, basically, fraudulent signature collection. The timeline makes this whole situation even crazier because these charges date all the way back to May 2019. May 2019 is when the alleged offenses took place, but Ash wasn't arrested until December 2025, creating a gap of over 6 years between when the supposed crimes happened and when she was actually taken into custody. Why the delay lasted so long remains unexplained, and while warrants were reportedly issued in November 2025, the actual alleged criminal activity goes back to 2019. Ash's response to getting arrested is peak Ash Trevino energy because she didn't handle any of this quietly or with any sense of seriousness about the situation. Immediately after getting released, she jumped right back on social media and started live streaming about her entire jail experience. Her live streams included this gem, and I quote, "They pulled up last night when we got home from shopping and literally I didn't know I had a warrant." Complete ignorance about the warrants was what she claimed, acting like the whole thing blindsided her. Another quote from her was, "Emma, fight this. Watch. I'm out." And she made absolutely sure everyone knew she had her situation handled already by adding, "I've got me an attorney already and I've got my bond." Remember that line about dating inmates but not becoming one? Well, after her arrest, she said, and I quote, "Everybody knew me there. Fucking cops knew me there." Because apparently she was recognized by everyone at the jail. Snapchat got a video of her walking out with someone saying, "She's free. She's out," and she was laughing and joking about the entire experience in her live streams. Casino plans came up in her conversation where she mentioned wanting to go and asked whether traveling out of state was allowed. Content is what the whole thing became for her within minutes of getting out. And screen recordings of her live streams started spreading across TikTok immediately. Venus Police Chief James Groom gave confirmation to People magazine that active felony warrants had been issued by the Ellis County Sheriff's Office, and that Trevino was taken into custody as a result. Sergeant Joe Fitzgerald from the Ellis County Sheriff's Office told the Dallas Morning News that the office has no connection to Ms. Lopez Trevino's criminal investigation, explaining that their only role was detaining her for arraignment. The investigation itself wasn't something Ellis County conducted, they just held her for the legal process to move forward. Understanding why this arrest is generating so much attention requires looking at everything that happened in Ash's life during 2024 and 2025. Israel Gress, her first husband from when she married him in 2008 at just 19 years old, passed away on June 25, 2024, and he was the father of both her daughters. Their divorce happened around 2015, with allegations of infidelity floating around at the time. January 2025 brought an incident at North Star Mall in San Antonio, where Ash was spotted, and someone with her ended up getting arrested. March 2025 saw her appearance on a podcast with Camila Araujo, where her daughters were present. And that's when a lot of the parenting controversy became more public and harder to ignore. April 2025 included a pregnancy announcement from her, though what happened with that pregnancy remains uncertain. Getting fired from her dental job happened in late December 2024, which pushed her to bet everything on full-time content creation. Just a few weeks after that career shift, boom, arrested on felony charges from 6 years back. Online reaction to Ash's arrest splits people right down the middle, which honestly tracks with everything else about her. Critics point to how she exploits her children for content and profit, the poor parenting shown through the no-bed situation, and exposing her kids to violent criminals, the monetization of her daughter's medical issues and personal struggles, and the inappropriate nature of her relationships given the age gaps and criminal histories involved. Turning this serious legal situation into immediate content proves to them that nothing is off limits for her. Supporters and defenders do exist for Ash, though, and their arguments center on how she provides financial stability that her ex never could, how she's authentic and unfiltered instead of hiding her struggles behind a fake perfect life, how she's making the best of a difficult situation, and how she's betting on herself after losing her job. They also highlight that she has legal custody of her children, and CPS hasn't removed them despite multiple investigations. Ash's own defense stays pretty consistent across the board. Providing for her family is what she claims she's doing, Legal custody of her kids is something she points out regularly. And when it comes to her kids having friendship issues, her quote is, "There's nothing I can do about it. May suck, but that is just life." Not knowing about the warrants is what she maintains, and fighting the charges with her attorney is her stated plan. After losing her job, she posted about the situation saying, and I quote, "Sometimes you gotta bet on yourself when nobody else will." Where everything stands right now as of December 20th, 2025, is that Ash Trevino is out on bond. Presumed innocent until proven guilty is the legal standard, and these charges from 2019 haven't been adjudicated in court yet. Legal counsel has been retained according to what she said in her live streams, and she's active on social media posting like normal. No formal statement has been issued beyond what she said in live streams, and law enforcement hasn't publicly confirmed whether formal charges have been officially filed beyond the warrants that led to her arrest. Arraignment and court proceedings are presumably coming up for her, though those details aren't available to the public yet. Exact amounts involved in the alleged fraud fall somewhere between $2,500 and $30,000 for each charge, but specific numbers haven't been disclosed publicly. What makes Ash Trevino's story so compelling and honestly disturbing to a lot of people comes down to how she represents this new era of influencer culture where literally nothing stays private or off limits for content. Every aspect of her life has been turned into something she can monetize, from relationships with incarcerated men to her daughter's medical emergencies to her own arrest. A book exists that she wrote called A Broken Hallelujah: Overcome Shame by Showing Up to Take Ownership of Your Life and Write Your Ending, though it never gained much attention or success. That title hits differently given everything that's happened since she wrote it. Your Honor is her favorite show, according to sources, which is about a judge whose son is involved in a hit and run and all the moral compromises the judge makes to protect him. The irony of that choice, considering her circumstances, isn't lost on anyone. Both of her daughters have become social media influencers themselves at this point. Haley's been active since the musical.ly era and built up a substantial following, while Evie joined TikTok in 2021. Growing up in this world where their lives are public content is their reality, for better or worse. What you've just heard is the story of what happens when someone builds their entire brand on being controversial and unfiltered, and then real legal consequences from years back finally catch up. Ash Trevino went from viral TikTok sensation to fired dental worker to arrested on felony fraud charges, all while live streaming and monetizing every single step along the way. The charges facing her are serious and not something to brush off lightly. Healthcare fraud and securing execution of documents by deception aren't minor offenses that get dismissed easily. The amounts involved are between $2,500 and $30,000 per charge, and if convicted, actual prison time could be in her future. That would be the ultimate ironic twist, given that she's famous for marrying people who are locked up. Right now, though, she's out on bond, back on social media, already turned the arrest into content, and says she's going to fight the charges. Whether she's taking this seriously or seeing it as just another chapter in her chaotic online story is honestly hard to tell. What we know for certain is that May 2019 is when the alleged crimes took place, right when she was starting her TikTok journey and getting engaged to her first incarcerated boyfriend. 6 years passed where she lived her life publicly, while these charges were apparently lurking in the background. Warrants were issued in November 2025, and December 2025 brought her arrest just weeks after she'd been fired and gone full-time as a content creator. The timing is absolutely wild. The fact that she claims she didn't know about the warrants is wild. Her response to everything is wild. But honestly, everything about Ash Trevino has always been wild, and that's exactly what made her famous in the first place. Presumed innocent until proven guilty is where things stand legally, and we'll have to see how this plays out in court. One thing's guaranteed though, whatever happens next, she'll be live streaming about it.